Hey everyone, it's Brian here from Massey's Main Entertainment. We're coming back at you here. We're coming a little bit early filming this one. We're going to go with 1983, Building Our Perfect Album. We wanted to get this in because one, we had a kind of a holiday week that we were contending with, and Doc and I are going to be taking a little vacation away from a little bit of everything in our lives and kind of chilling out a little bit. So we wanted to get this out there so we keep the channel updated and fresh, and keep you guys entertained all at the same time. So joining me today, as always, is Rich Strickler.
Howdy.
Check out Rich's channel. I always have his link down below to his material. I always have some great stuff on there. I finally got around to watching his Madman Across the Water song ranking, enjoyed it very much. Although I'm going to start to get on Sam a little bit more with his rankings, how he differs from everybody else. And joining us also is Doc. Doc, who will be also going on vacation at the same time as me. We didn't plan it that way. We're not like sneaking off to the Caribbean or anything behind our lives pack. None of that stuff. So we're building a perfect album, 1983. Still, like we're one year into the kind of the MTV jumping into the music industry, and things are kind of going in a bunch of different directions all at the same time. So it made for an interesting list for me. I mean, it feels like it's like half and half for me for stuff that was kind of popular. Maybe it charted on the Billboard, and then stuff that, you know, unless you were a fan of it or discovered it later on in life, you probably wouldn't have run into it. As always, we're going to have our Spotify links down below to those playlists that we select for the songs. So if you like either one of our lists, just click on the link and play the Spotify list and enjoy. So, guys, what did you guys think about 1983?
Go ahead, Rich.
Just, you know, like you said, it's an MTV at the peak. They were just gaining momentum as a major thing for teenagers and young adults back then. We were all watching it, checking out the videos, and a lot of my list will be reflected on what was popular at that time. I'm not really going off the grid too much. So you'll see that in the next few minutes when I start revealing my 12 songs.
Right. Doc, what about you?
Quite similar, Rich. Yeah, it's, now we're really MTV is taking off, and part of the fabric of our music lives, really, in one sense too. So you come home from school, you throw on MTV, or up here in Canada, Much Music, and you just throw it on, and whatever's new is out there. You're listening to it, it catches, it goes with you. Same idea. Yeah, on my list. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, what we're going to do tonight is, as always, we're going to have our tandem video being filmed on the same night. So as soon as we're done, we'll also be filming our top 10 movies for 1983. That video will appear on Rich's channel, and we'll release them on the same day. I think our goal this week is to release them on Thursday at noontime. So after you watch either one of our videos on either channel, flip over to the other one and watch the music one, or watch the movie one, whichever one you needed to do for a follow-up. So going first for music tonight, Rich, I know you hate doing it, but you're going to have to go first tonight. I'm going to follow you up going second, and Doc gets to play his hand close to the chest again tonight, so he likes doing that as well.
Yes, I do.
Rich, I'm on the end of the plank right now. So you guys are pushing me off, so here we go. My lead-off track, 1983, side A. I'm going with New Year's Day by U2. U2, a solid band in my eyes, off the War album. Polish solidarity movement is basically what the song's about. All is quiet on New Year's Day, under a blood red sky, and all this, the images of war and just rife in the country itself. Musically, it's got a wonderful bass line by Adam Clayton and a great searing guitar by The Edge. Love the song. It was a toss-up between Sunday Bloody Sunday and New Year's Day. I just like New Year's Day a little bit more, but they're both great songs, and either one of them could have led off this album for me. My second tune is Modern Love by David Bowie, the opening track off Let's Dance, which was a big album for him in 83. It's got a little bit of everything in it: new wave, pop, soul, rock, dance music, co-produced by Nile Rodgers. Real huge hit for David back in 83. So I wanted to give him props because he was a big deal in the MTV days as well, carrying over his career from the 70s when he did the glam rock and all that kind of stuff. So he's number two. Number three might be my only surprise that I actually like this guy, and that's Rebel Yell by Billy Idol. It's kind of not my niche, but I like this song. I like Billy Idol, believe it or not. The title track, it went to number 6 in the US. Just a classic 80s MTV staple, whether it's White Wedding from the year before or Eyes Without a Face was a kind of a ballad song, a slow down song. And I picked Rebel Yell. I think it goes well with Modern Love and Rebel Yell back to back, kind of that sound. Number 4 is Stevie Ray Vaughan, Pride and Joy, off the Texas Flood album with his band, his backing band, Double Trouble. Blues rock. I just think this is a really cool song. And I like Stevie Ray Vaughan. I like watching him perform. He's a fantastic guitar player, plays behind his back, plays upside down. I mean, he has a lot of tricks in the book, a la Jimi Hendrix. Unfortunately, he died in a motorcycle crash or a helicopter crash, in 1990, like 7 years after this particular song. So quite a talented man, and we lost him way too soon. Number 5 track is ZZ Top off the Eliminator album, Sharp Dressed Man. I like this song, like Texas Blues. It's a fun video with the guys all dressed up with the long beards, and they're strutting around doing their thing. It's kind of a cool vibe. They're talking about cufflinks and clean shirt, new shoes, black tie, all this fancy stuff. And they're like, strutting around. They got the hot chicks on the side, they're eyeballing, and just a visual more than anything else, but a cool song nonetheless. I'm going to end my side A with the Kinks, Come Dancing, off the State of Confusion album. This was inspired by Ray Davies' sister, who loved to dance in the ballrooms over in London. Unfortunately, she died while dancing in a ballroom. I think she was 30 years old, something like that. She just loved to come dancing, and where my sister used to dance, and all that's in the lyrics. It's classic storytelling by the Kinks. A downbeat reason to make the song, but a great song to listen to. It made my list at my closer on side 1. So that's it.
Very good.
Yeah, I mean, that does feel like you quite a bit. I actually had one of those made my list, and another one was an honorable mention. What I always think about when I think of ZZ Top, I always think how ironic it is that they got these big beards, and the drummer's his last name is Beard.
Beard.
I always thought that was the funniest thing,
That is hilarious. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's such a big album. Eliminator was such a huge album
Massive.
in '83. This massive album.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe they had like at least 3 or 4 tracks off of that actually
Easy.
charted in the top 40.
Yeah, I could have named 3 or 4 easily on the song. They're in my honorable mention, some of them, but yeah. I had to pick one. That was the one I went with.
And the Kinks track, a complete change of pace again for them. They just love.
Yes, it is.
They love flipping those 180s on people. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go from Destroyer to Come Dancing like a year later. I mean, that's a big flip, right? So that's yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, Rich, your album sounds like 1983 to me, man. That's what I can tell you. That's 1983, and we're gonna mix it up a little, but we're all hanging around the same ballpark. I'm probably going to guess right now.
Yeah. All right. As far as side B is concerned, my leadoff track is by the Pretenders, Back on the Chain Gang. I love this. It's probably my favorite Pretender song, or at least in the top 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's recorded shortly after the death of 2 of the founding members who died of drug overdoses, the guitar player and the bass player, and Chrissie Hynde, of course, carried on with their drummer, Martin Chambers, and they decided to fill in with some extra musicians and record some songs for the upcoming album, which would come out in '84. But this was the single that came out in '83, Back on the Chain Gang. Just a fantastic song. Love it. So I like Chrissie Hynde. She's got a lot of balls. She's real hardcore rock and roll, and I admire that. She's a great front woman and good songwriter as well. My number 2 song is John Mellencamp's Pink Houses from the album, Heartland Rock. Again, storytelling 101, inspired by real events. Evidently, Mellencamp was driving off the interstate and by a little pink house he saw in the corner, and there was a black man sitting there with his cat, holding his cat, and he waved at Mellencamp as he went by, and that was the inspiration for the song. So kind of cool, and it makes my list. That was tough for me to pick one song off of that album because I
That's
like
a
that
great album.
I really like that album a lot. My number 3 track is Bryan Adams, This Time, off the Cuts Like a Knife album, a Canadian rocker.
One of Doc's boys.
There you go.
Bryan Adams, solid rock and roll. He was big back in the day. I liked most of his tracks.
He was.
And I like this song, This Time. This time everything is all right.
It's catchy.
It is a catchy song. It's right up my alley. Number 4, this was the toughest one to pick for me. This is the Police, the Synchronicity album, and I went with King of Pain. I really wanted to take their big song, Every Breath You Take, but I like King of Pain better. And it just has the great imagery and the songwriting that I like. Great lyrics. Sting delivers a nice performance, and that was a tough one. There was a lot of good albums in this year that I had to make difficult choices with, and that's one example right there. My number 5 track, you could question my pick here, but I love the tune. I think it's performed well and written well, and unusual person singing it. Cyndi Lauper's Time After Time. I really think this is a good ballad, co-written by Rob Hyman, who was a frontman of the Hooters, which is a local band here in Philly, from the She's So Unusual album, which was a big hit back then. And I like the lyrics. If you're lost, you can look, and you will find me time after time. If I fall, I will catch you. I will be waiting time after time. Cyndi Lauper, kind of a strange artist of the day, but nonetheless, she's going to be on my 1983 top 12. And I'm going to end side B and the album with Genesis, song called That's All, from Phil Collins, lead singer, catchy closer. Do that's all.
That's all.
Right.
It's like sort of my way of saying that's all, folks. That's the end of the album. That's going to sum up 83.
Yeah, we're going to be a little bit closer than I think we would have thought at the beginning of this, Rich.
Okay.
Yeah, we're a little closer. Some things are a direct hit. Some things, at least we're on the same album.
We're all thinking 83.
Yeah, we're all going to hang around it, I think. Yeah, going to hang around it.
It's hard to get some of that stuff out of your brain. You live through it, and you go, it made it.
Yeah.
And, it's in me there, and I'm going to give it some notification when I put my album out. It's going to be on it.
Right. Yeah, Synchronicity was another big album. It's kind of surprising that you had a Bryan Adams song. I'll be honest. I didn't know whether he would be your cup of tea or not. I mean, maybe, summer of '69, I thought maybe at some point we probably would have covered that or something, but between us, but that's kind of a surprise.
Kind of a surprise, but he has a little bit of that raspy,
he does.
Seeger, Bruce, Mellencamp vibe to him, a combination of all three of them that I kind of like. So,
let's face it, he was probably the biggest act in the world at one point or another. So,
he was huge.
Him popping up on somebody's list throughout the 80s is probably not going to be a surprise.
No.
So that's it.
It's a solid album, Rich. It's a solid. We're all around it, man. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see your guys' list and see how close we are.
It'd be interesting. I think it's probably the right way to say it, but
it's the right way.
Yep.
All righty. I guess I'm next, huh?
Brian's up, man.
All right. I'm going to start off with something from Def Leppard, Pyromania. I'm going to go Rock of Ages. I remember my daughter coming home in 8th grade, and their social studies teacher asked them to ask one of her parents to give them a song from their 8th grade year that they thought would have been pertinent to, the time frame. And this was a song I gave her then. And so it's, I like Def Leppard a lot. So Rock of Ages is a great tune. There's at least 2 other songs I could have picked off of Pyromania.
Maybe 3.
Great one.
Big album.
Big album. This is a really great song, timeless song, I think, in a way. I picked my number 2 track. I picked something from John Mellencamp also, but I picked the Authority song.
Good one.
I think that it's kind of a really catchy little thing. I fight the authorities and the authorities always win. I mean, so it's kind of like this one that, one of those teenage angst songs that kind of, you can kind of sing along to, and somebody can play it while you're cruising through town and kind of get into that. Mellencamp, this album was huge for him. he just came out, you had American Fool, then you had this album, and he just was just a big, huge household name at this point, all across. So number 3 for me, I got the same synchronicity song that Rich does, King of Pain. I just thought that the lyrics just seemed a little dark. Of course they are, but I think just a little bit more nuanced lyrics that I really enjoyed, where some surreal imagery that kind of paints this, oblique landscape that Sting wants to. And it's such a well-written song. I mean, probably his strongest written song, I would think. Where you feel like there's something more there other than what's on the surface, and I really enjoyed the song, so I wanted to put that there. Number 4 for me will be the first appearance, but not the last appearance of REM. This is from their debut album Murmur, Radio Free Europe. It was originally released on Hiptone Records in 1981, but wasn't a hit or anything. And then they signed with IRS Records, and IRS Records released Murmur in 1983. And included their an updated version of the song on this album here. Mostly known, the song's kind of a big staple, top 3 maybe alternative rock songs of the 80s. Kind of known for Michael Stipe's mumbling lyrics and the jangle pop scene. Really, if you weren't looking at the lyrics the first couple times that you heard this song, you wouldn't know what he's actually saying. He just kind of mumbles underneath himself, but it's an important song, I think, for alternative radio, and I definitely wanted to include it here. You'll see a lot of REM as we move forward. Number 5 for me, I've got from Men at Work's Cargo album, I've got my favorite song by them, Overkill. I think it's a great song, well written by Colin Hay. Again, I always like these songs where there seems to be this abstract, more than what's on the surface kind of lyrics. And Overkill's that type of song. It kind of has a deeper meaning than what you would think, especially coming off of, I also had a song on that album called Dr. Heckle and Mr. Jive. It's definitely a song that's much more deep and meaningful than that song. But Men at Work kind of on top of their game here at this point. They only had like 3 albums anyway that kind of made it through the Billboard thing. And closing off this side, I've got, like Rich, I've got Cyndi Lauper. I've got Time After Time. I think it's her best song on that album. Maybe it's not the most popular. I'm sure that, Girls Just Want to Have Fun was might be the most popular song, but I think there's just definitely a good vocal performance by Cyndi. She was kind of that odd duckling of the 80s, didn't quite fit the mold that everybody thought, but it's funny, the impact that she had on style and everything else after, she came out and got popular. All of a sudden, all these girls had this interesting makeup and frizzy hair and wearing leg stockings that mismatched socks and all sorts of crazy stuff. So she kind of had an impact on music. So that closes out my side 1.
Very good.
Man, you and Rich would have a great time at the same party, eh?
Yeah, I think so.
And I agree. And I like your honorable mentions. The Authority song is the song that I might like to sing the most off that, although I like Pink Houses is a better written song. And I love Rock of Ages. That's a good pick. That's one of my honorable mentions. So good job. I like it. Yeah.
Like I said, I think we're all around it here, guys. That's what I mean. When I get to mine, you'll know what I'm talking about for sure.
Yeah. It seems like that. Okay, so moving on to side 2, I do have something off Genesis, the same album that Rich had. There's self-titled one, but I picked Mama.
Yeah.
I really something about the song that's got this eerie keyboard and this strange homage to his mother, and you're not really sure what happened, but evidently whatever happened to mother or against his mother actually ended up being some type of tide that pushed him over the edge a little bit. It's a very interesting song. I liked it a lot. Definitely different for Genesis, considering that it has some pop songs that kind of like That's All and things that an Abacab, Misunderstanding, that are definitely pop oriented, but this one still kind of harkens back to that progressive side of them that they're still kind of hanging on to thin strands of. So number 2 on this side, I've got from Elvis Costello. I've got Every Day I Write the Book. Very, very interesting song is that he basically draws these parallels when he's putting together the verses. He's drawing some parallels of the actual writing process itself when one's writing a book. And he's talking about, the relationship with this girl, and he's breaking down the parts of it, all the way through the stages as chapters in a book. And I just thought that such a creative way that Elvis put together this song. Really appreciate him as the years went on. Definitely appreciate this song a lot more now that I'm, much more mature than my 14-year-old self. So the third, yeah, the third track on this side, Modern Love by David Bowie. Let's Dance was just a massive, massive album. I'm sure I could have picked two other songs on here just as easily that probably even charted higher than Modern Love, but I think Modern Love is the stronger track on here. Like Rich said, kind of a little bit of mixture of dance and a little bit of the new wave and a little bit of the glam, just kind of all thrown in there a little bit to where it feels like a Bowie track, but definitely feels like a 83 track of the time frame. So number 4 for me on this one, this is probably, of all the songs that you could pick on here, this seems kind of odd. And I know that like Trey Holmes is going to be flipping over in his grave right now, but I picked a song from Sports by Huey Lewis and the News, but I picked Walking on a Thin Line.
Oh,
I like this. I like the song. I mean, you're talking about a veteran coming home from war and the way that, you know, veterans are treated and how you feel estranged from the rest of society and you're not quite fitting in again. And people maybe say they don't understand you anymore when really that unless you've lived war and experienced war, that there's probably isn't any understanding of the people who've actually gone through it and survived it. So I think it's, you know, for the one song that probably on Sports where you wouldn't have thought it could ever, you know, even exist on an album like Sports. And but Huey did a good job on this one. I had to give him a little bit of love on it. So the 5th track on here, I went with kind of staying with the New England, England, not New England, but England, UK kind of alternative rock, new wave. I've got Madness, Our House.
Oh,
I remember the video being just massively huge with this kind of tongue in cheek, you know, spoof of, you know, everything, you know, inside a London flat, and this big huge family with all the little wildness and intricacies that they have. And he's talking about just an everyday day in the life of their family, and it's kind of cool and different. And then closing it out, I'm going to go with Talking Heads, This Must Be the Place. This song has been massively covered by a lot of different artists, and some have sped it up, some have slowed it way down. I think the Lumineers is the most recent one I can remember where they slowed it way down, but the Talking Heads version is by far the superior of any of them. The naive melody that appears on the album is just fantastic. And as you know, I've become a huge David Byrne fan of late, and wanted to include something from this album. So that concludes it. That's side 2.
very good. I somehow I overlooked Madness, Our House, because I probably would have put it on and booted out Billy Idol, but in my research I missed that in '83. So that's a good pick. I like that a lot, and I like all your other stuff too. Very close to my album in many ways.
Yeah, again, sounds like '83 to me, man. And you know, Rich is sitting there saying he would have kicked out maybe Rebel Yell or for Our House or whatever.
Yeah.
They're both in my honorables, but another one made my list. So you get the idea that, you know, the big songs, man, huge songs at that time. And there's lots of big songs that we've covered, and hopefully we'll nail off a couple of maybe other ones here, and one personal pick for sure.
It's tough when we've done the 24 songs for so long and we're down to 12. A lot of stuff, good stuff, gets set aside, and you want to still, you know, honor it with the honorable mention talk. So that's where we're at. It is tough to get down to 12. I didn't think 83 would be this tough, but the 80s are better than I thought they were in retrospect. They really are.
Yeah. I think when you only have to pick 12 songs, they are. If we'd had to pick 24 songs, we definitely would have probably struggled. There would have been like 3 or 4 tracks on each album where we're going, well, I really didn't want to.
Yeah, I like this one.
That's a good number.
I really do.
Yep. All right.
All right.
I think Trey's going to have to give you a pass there. That Walking on a Thin Line is pretty good. That's
a good song by Huey. I don't care what he says. So.
And you know, there's I don't know, that sold like 20 million. I don't know how many copies that sold. That thing was a monster too. You know, and Heart of Soul and The Heart of Rock and Roll and Walking on a Thin Line and
a bunch of them.
I Want a New Drug. I think they're all on that album. I mean, that's Huey's. You know, that and 4 are monsters. I think so.
Yep.
But yeah, it sounds like, again, like if I jump in and just go, you're going to know what I'm talking about here as soon as I start. So,
okay,
batter up. Here I go.
Here it comes.
Clean up. Mama by Genesis is going to start my side, man. So
nice.
Yeah. It's dark. It's still that dark I like the darkness of the Genesis tunes, man. When they're like that feeling, man, you know, and that mama, you know, it's another dark, creepy tune. Sounds fantastic, man. That's a keeper for this amount of time, man. 39 years later, that still cooks, man.
Yeah.
I got Def Leppard too, man, coming into my second home. I got Photograph, man. So
yeah.
The other one.
There's a few. There's Foolin', Rock of Ages. You could have had this one. Photograph's always been my favorite tune on this album. A little bit more catchy. Let's face it, man, these guys pump them out for a long time here in the 80s. I'm going to go through Def Leppard too, man. They're a big band too. So you can see where these guys are going. You know, they had a couple, you know, Bring On the Heartache and stuff like that previously. Good songs and stuff like that. Just didn't crack the top 12 when they came out. But I can see them popping up a few times as we move along here in the years.
Yeah.
I got ZZ coming in at number 3, man. Give Me All Your Lovin', man. I'm going to Give Me All Your Lovin' off of the Eliminator. So, well, again, there's Legs, there's Sharp Dress, there's Give Me All Your Lovin'. This is another monster album. This is just the first one, and it's great live. Their Legs is great live. They're all great live, mind you. Let me tell you, man. Gibbons is a rocking guitar, and this is like, let's face it, man. This is not a ZZ Top kind of song in one sense, but it is. I mean, the guitar is really, really good in this tune, and Billy can wail, man. So, Give Me All Your Lovin', fun rock song from ZZ. Never had a bad video off that whole album either, man. So, no. Mellencamp. Yes, Mellencamp's making mine. Now, I debate, right? You know, Authority song, Crumbling, you know, Love and Mother for You, Serious Business, Play Guitar, love them all. Pink Houses is the one for me, man. So that's where I went. So definitely his best album in my eyes. Pink Houses is just a classic Americana rock song in the 80s, man. This is storytelling at its best, like Rich has said, and I love this tune. Love this album.
Yeah.
This would be close to like the Desert Island kind of stuff to me, man. This is a really, really good album. So Pink Houses, just a classic tune from Mellencamp here. I got Yes coming in after this, guys. Now, I really like the 90125 album. I don't care what anybody says. I think it's a fantastic album. Owner of a Lonely Heart could be the worst song on that album. So that's my take. So
I almost went with it, Doc. That was real close to making my list.
Yeah, I mean, It Can Happen is my song. So that's the one I'm taking. I could have had Hold On. I could have had Leave It. I could have had Changes. I could have had a whole bunch. It Can Happen is just really, really catchy.
Great.
Yeah, Yes sounds different. Yes sounds like a band that came out of the 70s. That was a progressive psychedelic band almost, and it figured out how to do something in the 80s pretty damn fast, and it caught on, and this was a monster, and this album's really good, man. Completely underrated in the Yes catalog if you don't like it. So yeah. I love it. I got Talking Heads ending my side, man. Burning Down the House is ending my side. So it's like I said, I think we're all around it, guys, but you know, this is another catchy tune from, I'm not a Talking Heads guy either. You know, I got spots that I do. I can, like I said before, and I like to cherry pick sometimes, and this is a cherry pick for me as well. They're not an album guy for me, but I got like 10 or 15 tunes I could take at almost any time. This is one of them again. Burning Down the House, man. A classic song from '83 in my eyes, and that would make my top 12, and that's where it ends my side.
Why do you think, I mean, I like it. It's an honorable mention, but why do you think 90, you know, why does it get such a bad rap from Yes purists?
Those progressive Yes guys from the 70s can't adapt to that new sound. It's entirely the same. It's taking it to a new level, and they want the old Yes back, where they're 20-minute album side songs. And,
it just wasn't a place in modern rock for that anymore.
Plus,
you know,
this was a commercial. This was way too
right.
Yeah. I'd agree. That sums it up right there, Rich. You just nailed it. It's almost like that Rush thing when, you know, moving pictures happened and they, you know, went commercial kind of thing. And then Signals happened, and that was like the 80s sound for Rush moving forward. It's the same idea, saying, you know, like I said, I wasn't a big fan of Singles when it came out. I want my 70s Rush and my 81 moving pictures, but after that, same idea with
I didn't have a problem with your Def Leppard pick. It was an honorable mention. I mean, obviously,
I love
you can't go wrong. And both you guys liking Pink Houses over Authority song doesn't hurt my feelings, because I like Pink Houses too. I just had to pick a song. You know, that's just where we're at.
I like Love and Mother for You, man. I love Serious Business. I like play guitar. I like them all, man.
Yeah.
Like I said, that album's great.
Yeah. And getting back to Yes for 1 second,
Mm.
a lot of those guys or people like being underground and thinking that that's their band and they're not commercial and that's their little piece of the world is having Yes to listen to. They vibe to it, and then when it went commercial, it's like that's not really. Well, yes, it is. It's just a different.
Yeah,
Mm.
I didn't get full blown upset because REM had Losing My Religion and got really popular. I felt good for the band who worked all those years to make it big, and they finally made it big.
And similar with Genesis when they went popular after all the Gabriel years.
That's true.
It's this very similar thing. It goes commercial and people or get off the ship because I don't want to be part of that, MTV thing or the attached to selling out or whatever they're saying. It's, I don't blame the guys. It's just they changed with the times and it happened to catch on.
Right. Okay.
Both are all great. All of it's great music. It's just a matter of preference. But I'll get off my tirade. Doc, side 2. Sorry.
Side 2.
Side 2. Don't worry, guys. Don't worry. We'll end on 93-83 here and see how it goes. So, listen, Synchronicity is an awesome album. In some respects, some parts are a little slow for me in some senses. The album overall is a really easy listen, and the hitters on this are really solid. My side is starting with Every Breath You Take, man.
Good one.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, depending on how my album went, I either went with this or Synchronicity 2. King of Pain is a fantastic song. I like those are the 3 hitters to me, and Wrapped Around Your Finger, I guess, is another big song, but I think those 3 are the big 3, and Every Breath You Take. To your point, Brian, I'm thinking this is their best written song to me. It's almost a perfect song in one sense, and I think it's a great way to start an album side. And listen, I'm not the biggest Police guy either, but man, this album is really solid, and there's some really good songs on this. And I like the other songs I can cherry pick as well, but this one's a monster and a great tune.
Yeah.
I got Bowie coming in at number 2 here too. I got the title track, man. Let's Dance. Modern Love is the ultimate David Bowie pop rock song. It really is. And it's fantastic. Yeah. Freaking, if you're not moving to that one, man, I don't know. Your head's got to bop to that. Let's Dance sounds like it's an 83 tune to me from Bowie that vibes so much in the 70s kind of sound. It's just got that beat that just runs through the whole song, man. And it's another one. You can still bop your head to that one, man. Let's Dance. It's a catchy, groovy tune from Bowie. Still rocks if you want the truth, man. Wasn't a big fan of this album when it came out, man. This one's just grown over me over 40 years, and I love it. So it's a great album. I got the Tubes coming in at number 3, man. So She's a Beauty.
That's a good one.
I kind of suspected this one.
Yeah. I said, man, it's just another catchy, groovy tune, man.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's almost Richard Marcus before Richard Marcus at some points and stuff like that. Just the way he sounds and stuff like that. It's not saying I'm a big Richard Marx guy or anything like that. I'm just saying the way the sound and the way the tune flows back and forth. She's a Beauty is a really catchy, groovy tune too, man. So I don't know what else to say about it, man. For 83 to have something like that and that catchy, She's a Beauty is a top 12er for me, man.
Yeah.
Coming in with Plant at number 4, man. In the Mood.
Nice.
Yeah.
I heard this at a party, I think in 83, man, and I've not forgot it since. I can tell you what happened at the party for crying out loud. So it's this tune is what a bass, man. The bass line in that song is fantastic. Plant sounds awesome. In some respects, the song is nothing, it doesn't have its like ultimate peaks and ultimate lows or anything. It's just a really smooth, easy listening Plant song. In the Mood, man. What a groove to that one as well. It's number 4 for me, man. This could be my end. My number 5 is probably my end kind of thing where I'm thinking this is where he kind of loses me moving forward, but because he kind of does lose me, and I can't say anything different, but I guess that's why they call it the blues by Elton's probably the end of my tracks here. So that's my number 5. It's the last really song that really connected with me from him. I guess even to this day from this album. So I think it's a really great tune. The other songs on the album, maybe a little bit more airplay, a little bit more MTV-ish and stuff like that. But this one's just a great tune to me, man. And I think it's kind of the last of Elton's biggies in my eyes, to me. So I love a lot of 70s Elton, but that's it for that one. So I guess that's why they call it the blues. It's going to be my number 5. And my number 6, my final song. It's the last album they did together, and they didn't really do it together, and everybody else talks about whatever they want to talk about. But it's Pink Floyd. It is The Gunner's Dream from the Final Cut, which, if I was to tell you I have 10 songs that I would pick, this is one of them. So, one of my favorite songs in my life. A lot of people crap on this album. It's not a Floyd. It's a Floyd friggin' album. I don't care what anybody says. It's a continuation of The Wall. All right, it's a continuation of The Wall. Who the hell cares? The Wall was a Floyd album. You didn't say that it wasn't. Now this one is. Give me a break. Final Cut's fantastic. Totally underrated in the catalog. I love it. I think it's fantastic. The Gunner's Dream is a masterpiece off of this album to me, and that's my final song on this album.
That's a little. I mean, that one's a little surprising to me. I mean, I like Final Cut, but I'm also the guy that has no problem with Momentary Lapse, and I don't have any problem with Division Bell either. I know they get a lot of hate because one of them's arguing, well, that's that this one doesn't have water, so it doesn't count. This one doesn't have Gilmore, so it doesn't count. I mean, if it sounds like a duck and it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. It sounds like Pink Floyd to me. So it's Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd. Totally agree.
Well, we did something we've never done. Not one trifecta.
Not one
Zero.
trifecta. We danced around it. Maybe King of Pain, I thought maybe had an outside chance there for a second. And but that's okay.
No, I'm glad
that's it. Pretty diverse in 83, man. It's pretty diverse.
Yeah.
Very diverse. We had a lot of the same bands and artists, just different songs, which is cool.
Yeah.
We all had Bowie. We all had the Police. We had Mellencamp. We had some Talking Heads.
Genesis.
Yes. Genesis. Def Leppard. I mean, they're all in there.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I have to say, I was surprised Doc didn't have the Kinks because I know he's a Kinks guy. But we had.
It's on my honorable. I would have had. Come Dancing is just. It's not going to make my top 12. What can I say? It's not my favorite Kinks.
Right.
I almost had some 38 Special, Back Where You Belong in there, man. So
I love that song too. Yeah.
In the Mood was the last minute cut for me, Doc.
No way.
Honestly, I mean, I had Photograph, which was close. Jeopardy by the Great Kid Band was close for me. I had She's a Beauty.
Yep.
I had Perfect Circle by REM, which is maybe their best written song. And I was surprised nobody had Total Eclipse of the Heart by Bonnie Tyler. That was a little
it's
bit of
it's my honorable. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was my honorable mentions or last minute cuts. So
What do you have, Doc? Honorable.
Well, I mentioned Back Where You Belong. I had written down. It's not my favorite, but Perfect Circle is a great tune. I like that one, and Sitting Still too is from that Murmur. If I was to pick 2 off of there, that's where I would have went.
Mm-hmm.
I had Total Eclipse written down as well. Sweet Dreams, I think, is a big tune from that era too. I had Our House written down as well. New Year's Day was also on my short list too, Rich, just so you know.
Mm-hmm.
Sister Christian was one that I had written down as well. I had everything off of that 90125 album. I had everything off of that. I love them both, man. I think they're fantastic. I really do. And Synchronicity too, Every Breath, I had That's All written down as my other one. And a little shot, they'll probably never make my list, but a little Lover Boy there, Hot Girls in Love, almost, I'll give them the honorable because it was a big tune back in 83 as well.
Right.
Yeah. I had Burning Down the House by Talking Heads. Sweet Dreams Are Made of These by
Rhythmics.
Cuts Like a Knife, the title track. It Can Happen, Owner of a Lonely Heart, yes. Sunday Bloody Sunday. Authority Song, Crumbling Down from Mellencamp. Every Breath You Take. China Girl and Let's Dance from Bowie. I actually had some Madonna down. Lucky Star. Borderline and Holiday. I like all those Madonna songs back in the day. Enchanted by Stevie Nicks. State of Confusion. Legs. Give Me All Your Lovin'. Photograph, Rock of Ages. And She's a Beauty by the Tubes. And On the Dark Side, John Cafferty and the Beaver
Yeah,
Oh,
big
wow.
too.
from
Yeah.
Eddie and the Cruisers.
Now tell me that's not a spring team tune, man. Tell me that's not a
What it
spring
was
team.
when it
tune.
first hit the radio. You know?
Oh, for
Yeah,
sure.
I honestly, that's who I thought it was too. I was like, who the hell is John Cafferty and
On the
Beaver
Dark
Brown Band?
Side.
Never heard of that guy.
Well, a good song.
Yeah, sure. That was good. That was good.
Because I would have loved to have two U2, two Police, two Mellencamp, two ZZ. But it is what it is. It's fun.
Right. Well, all right. That's 1983, guys. I thought it was a really deeper year than I would have thought, especially for albums. We had some really great stuff there.
Yeah.
Be sure, everyone, to check out our other years. I mean, we've covered from 1965 all the way to 1983 now. Check out those other lists as well. Remember, we're doing everything in tandem since 1980, so there'll be top 10 movies up for every year starting in 1980. So be sure to check that out on Rich's channel when you get an opportunity, and check out our Spotify list down below. So if you want to listen to some of the songs that we mentioned, you can check those out for yourself. So thanks very much, Doc, for joining me this evening.
Of course.
Thanks, Rich, for joining us. And be sure to stay tuned for our movie video coming up shortly as well. So take care, everyone.
Take care. Bye.